Chris, what brings you to town?
Football. Boise State football. What brings you guys here? We're all in the same boat.
What's it like to get out and practice? And Chris Spencer has talked a number of times about your guys' growing friendship and how much of a mentor you are to him. So what do you think about the job he's doing?
Well, I think it's spectacular. You know, I had known Spencer for a long time as an assistant, and not surprising the progression that he's made, and just really proud of what he's done when he took over the mantle of command, so to speak, and just, you know, the vibe that's going through this program. And, you know, it's a really challenging, difficult job. Doesn't look like it right now from the outside, but it really is. And, you know, how he's just such a solid person that is always going to give him such a good chance to continue to grow and be really, really elite at this.
One time when I talked to you, Chris, you were talking about how you weren't necessarily worried about treating players fair, you were worried about giving them all purpose. And it feels like Spencer has taken some of your tools and is trying to implement them here. What have you kind of seen, and what do you think his strongest attributes are?
Yeah, we speak the same language. You know, there's a lot of ways to skin the cat, and so I don't. There's a lot of ways to be successful, but I think I'm always looking for the fit, and like-minded people kind of gravitate together, and so he's in this for all the right reasons, which is even more impressive in this day and age with the transactional nature of college football and money and transferring and all those type of things. And it's really hard to stay super grounded as a coach when all those things are going on. But this is who he is, and the beautiful thing is that's what Boise State has been for a long time and really wants to be. But you're kind of fighting some societal pressures as you go through this journey.
When people talk about the success of this program, obviously the first two names that come up are yours and Kellen's. How close is Ashton to kind of being in that same conversation?
Well, he is amazing. I mean, that's why I'm over here right now, is to everybody's wanting what is going on here on this blue turf, and I'm no different. We've had, one thing at Boise State, when I look back at all the time here, all the great players that we've had, the one position where it's probably been stacked as much as any has been that running back position. We've always had a really good running back. And this may be as good as anything that we have seen, and again, I'm in a little bit of an awkward position because being an old coach, we're game 4. We got a lot of season left. A lot of things can happen, twists and turns. So you don't want to put the cart before the horse. But what he's done through these 4 games is something not a lot of us have seen in recent memory. And I'm talking about in college football. And it's a team game, and that O-line's got to show up and block for him, and they got to be able to throw the ball to take a little pressure off him. Usually it's the other way around, right? Usually you got to be able to run the ball to take pressure. I think you got to be able to, throw the ball to take some pressure off of him, and so it's really fun to watch.
You had that mantra back when you were here, the OKGs, and Ashton's a guy who could have gone somewhere else, opted to stay here for another season. How does he fit in that OKG mold?
I think he's probably a poster child for it, from everything that I've heard from his coaches. The first thing they'll say is this guy is such a great kid. Such a great kid. It's not he's such a great running back. It is such a great kid for us. So, and then like you said, there's a lot of people that were coming after him, not even being in the transfer portal. They're still coming after him. On behalf of all the college coaches around, I just want to go hug the kid and say thank you for doing this a special, different way.
I don't know how willing you are to make a guess. What do you think Ashton will be in New York at the end of the season? That's
Jay is smiling right here because he already knows. That's almost blasphemy. I mean, we're not going there.
I know the answer.
Yeah, I just hope he shows up and puts his best foot forward on Saturday. And I know that's what Spencer hopes. That's what Dirk Cutter hopes. And if his mind can stay truly, as cliche as it sounds, that one practice at a time, that one game at a time, it's gonna be impressive. But me saying that is really easy for me to do, but for them to do this, because like I said, this is a hard job, this is a hard sport. I'm out there watching those guys practice, and it is hard to practice at a high level all the time. Mm-hmm. very few can do it. Very few teams can do it. And so that's the challenge. Like there's so much twists and turns that are going to happen as the season goes on. So you can't get too far ahead of yourself.
I mean, is there anyone just in your career you can think of to even compare Ashton to, like you've worked with or like you've seen play?
That's a really good question, and I haven't seen one like that. And it's always when you're looking, even in a recruiting game, it's like, who does this guy compare to? Who does he remind us of? Like that's a way we like to evaluate players. And I'm like, I'm not sure what style this is. And then you ask Dirk Cutter, you know, and everybody's got these different, like Danian Tomlinson thing, but you ask Dirk Cutter, and he would say Maurice Jones-Drew, who was with him in Jacksonville, who led the NFL in rushing in 2011. So, I mean, he's seen these guys up close and personal, and there's no better coach to evaluate people than Dirk, and so I thought that was really interesting.
If you look at the guys that you had, I mean, at the time since I've called the games here, Boise State's had a lot of really good running backs. So why do you think, you know, Boise State probably had more than their fair share?
I don't know that. That's what I was saying earlier. Like all the really good players we've had, the one position that seems that we've always been stacked at, or at least had one exceptional player, is that running back position. And you know, it's the tradition, it's the legacy that somebody's going to see. There's going to probably be somebody out there playing high school football or 8th grade flag football going, I want to be the next Ashton Jeanty, you know, and that's kind of how it goes on that blue turf.
I know you're busy, Chris, so we'll get you out here on this one. Just when you kind of look at the broader view of the program, I mean, you were here when this was first built, but you look at the scoreboards, the sound system, the lights, they're going to the Pac-12. What do you just think of the growth of a program that, you know, you were so heavily involved in?
I will tell you this, Jeremiah Dickey is second to none in terms of ADs. I marvel because the game has changed in terms of the requirements it takes, the financial requirements it takes to play the game. And everybody's trying to stay relevant. And it is so hard. I mean, now you're talking about, you know, players being involved with money. So like, how are we paying for all this? But what has gone on here and the game day environment and all these things, it's unbelievable. I mean, it is really, really cool. And I actually was over here last week for just a few hours before the Cougar game on Saturday, and the plane coming from Seattle had a bunch of Cougars on. They had not been to a game. They're like, what is it? And I said, oh, you just wait. And I meant it not in a good way. I meant like, oh, you're going to love this environment, which you will, but I don't know if you're going to like the result, because I knew what was coming in terms of like the passion that would be in this stadium. It's awesome.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay.